Hello there, this is Steve here in Sydney on the hypnosis website, truebluehealer.com. That's where in just 20 minutes you can get your divine spark activated and you'll get physical evidence that that's happening. Now, you've heard that message probably hundreds of times, and I'm going to talk about that very issue today. But first of all, I'll say a great big shout out hello to the SPLC in America, who like to police YouTube videos and believe they are the best people to do it, and do it with gusto. I must say, I myself, I've always been a certified mongrel. I've had my DNA tested, discovered medically and accidentally that I have some Viking DNA and I've got some Bronze Age Irish DNA. So you could never call me a pedigree. I really don't know my lineage, it's a mishmash. So, however, pedigreed people out of the SPLC have every right to be very proud of their lineage, which many of them can trace back tens of centuries, we are led to believe. I'm quite interested in that sort of stuff. It's fascinating. But like we have pedigreed creatures as well, there's a problem with being pedigreed in some ways, because Appaloosa horses instinctively round up cattle as soon as they see them. They don't even need to be ridden. The horse itself will round up steers running away from the herd, that sort of thing. Now, we also get pedigreed, highly pedigreed dogs that we all love and admire, like border collies that round school children up. They round up, any group of children will get rounded up. And what does the dog actually do? He's barking in their faces and nipping their ankles to get them to go through gates and corrals and through goalposts, that sort of thing. And it's all wonderfully amusing. We can't hate the dog, can we? Because the dog's doing what comes naturally. He's excited, he's invigorated. One thing we can say is the children do not need to be rounded up. They don't ask to be rounded up. And in fact, it's a bit of a blooming nuisance to the children playing, because the dog gets in the way all the time. But it's completely harmless, isn't it? So, now pedigreed people seem to have this herding instinct too. The SPLC people believe that it's their right and they should, and they do enjoy themselves, barking at people and nipping their ankles to make them comply to certain rules and regulations, like you've got to go into this identity politics paddock. You've got to go through this identity politics gateway. You've got to comply to our desire, because we're going to keep barking at you until you obey. And we're going to keep nipping your ankles until you go into the right place, and we can have you put in a group of identity politics, you see. So I can't blame any of those entities for doing pedigreed behaviour. It comes from long-term breeding. And, well, I can't hate Appaloosa horses. I can't dislike border collie dogs, they're fabulous. Similarly, pedigreed people out of the SPLC, who are just as enthusiastic as any other pedigree, doing what they do on YouTube because they think it's the best thing to do. I can't fault them for that. I can't fault them for that at all. Okay? So, anyway, what I'm going to talk about is something very natural. It's not widely known, and that is Kundalini rise. And Kundalini rise is a completely natural process, so therefore it's not strictly speaking religious, because it requires no belief. Kundalini rise consists of about a 6-month period in your life where a column of energy rises around your spine, and it feels as if you're floating. Often you're being lifted off the ground. You can get a whole lot of funny sensations. It's a thrilling experience. You can hear garbled voices, music, all sorts of things for about a 6-month period. And it's actually stresses being burned at the base of your spine, stored stresses from your physicality, right? So far so good. Everyone can do this. It's available to everyone. It's the divine spark doing its job, what it's supposed to do. Now, also during this 6-month period, something else happens. During Kundalini rise, your nervous system is rewired. That's made abundantly obvious to you in a number of ways. And one of them is that you're going to have some difficulty breathing for about an hour or two, and it might happen a number of times. And you have no power over this at all. This is a profound experience that you can go through, and you will realize that the divine spark in you, wherever you are, whoever you are, permits you to breathe. Your next breath can be just stopped because permission is withdrawn. It's surprising, isn't it, in these atheistic times, that this isn't widely known. I'm going to show you a video I made years ago about someone who was actually, what can I say, his life was naturally finished deliberately in a public venue where his death was filmed. And then a well-known medium was asked, who had never heard of this man, Montague Keen, to describe what happened to him. And she really contacts him, and she is basically proving life after death. And the death of this man in his 90s was deliberately organised to be in a public venue in a certain place. So, can I use the word killed? Well, he stopped breathing, and you would term it a natural death. Now, so afterlife was proven in this one instance of an individual surviving death. That deceased people could be contacted with was also proven in this little video clip. I've got it somewhere. And the fact that the divine spark can just say, now is the time for you to stop breathing, and you leave this physical dimension and switch to another non-physical dimension. And one of the great illusions of life is proven to you, that is death, is actually you just being removed from the chessboard of life. You don't actually get killed, you just sort of turn up in another venue at another channel of reality. Okay, so Kundalini rise shows all this to you. One profound thing that it shows you is that really you should be very, very grateful for every breath you take, and your very existence is a miracle. It is astonishing if you just think about it. Hard to believe it was ever an accident. But why am I telling you this? Well, I've always wanted to keep it a secret because I want you to discover it your own way. It's part of your personal life story. The reason is, sources leaned on me some 5 times to talk about this, and that to the effect that some people around the world are overusing, abusing their authority, their positions of power, and they're using it whimsically to do harm to the general human race. And sources telling me that, well, some of them might stop breathing soon, the same way that Montague Keen did in this video. It's a natural death, but he was just removed from the physical chessboard of life, and other people today who are misbehaving from positions of power, causing all kinds of harm to the rest of humanity, might just be removed from the board too. Now, the Creator can do this. Okay, the Creator can do this. So, why am I telling you this? I've been asked 5 times to tell you this, and the takeaway message of this video is that you heard it here first. So you might find some strategic people who are very hard to bring down with the normal justice system, who have deeply offended Source, might just be taken off the board, so to speak, all due to the divine spark residing in everybody. Now, I'm going to put this old video I made years ago attached to this bit, and then I'm going to do a bit more commentary afterwards, okay? So here we have a little 6-minute video, which is about the most intimate description of what it's like to die when the breath is taken out of your lungs. And that's the phrase used by Alison Dubois when she's describing how Montague Keen dies in this very short 6-minute video clip. It's worth watching, and there's a number of things it proves, but it should make you grateful for being able to breathe. Every breath you take comes with permission. Okay, you have permission to take the next breath in your existence, and it can be taken from you. After the clip, I'll say a few more things.
Well, I don't particularly want to have anything other than pure death, and I would rather not believe in survival, but I find it impossible to be intellectually honest and not believe in survival.
Tragically, during the production of this film, Montague Keen died. But this gave us the opportunity of testing whether or not he actually got his wish for oblivion. This came in the form of Alison Dubois. Dubois has become one of the most famous mediums in the world after her abilities were dramatized in the hit TV show Medium.
That's huge. When things come through that strong,
Huge.
I can't get going.
We visited the University of Arizona, where scientists were testing the abilities of America's top mediums. Here we challenged Alison Dubois to contact the spirit of Montague Keen.
It's not the same as when you're alive.
She was able to conduct her mediumship in full light, in front of the camera, with 2 researchers seated behind, asking questions.
Do you have any idea who this person is?
Dubois wasn't given any information about Keen. The only thing she was told was the first name of Keen's widow, Veronica.
The fact that he gets to still be here around the people he loves is huge to him.
Although many of Dubois' statements were vague, some were astonishingly accurate.
He went down at a podium, or no. He's showing a man falling at the podium, like, and falls, and he goes down at the podium.
Okay.
This is important. So like an assembly.
On the night of his death, Keen was taking part in a debate at the Royal Society of Arts in London. While defending his position, his voice faltered mid-sentence, and he died.
Take a rest.
No, I don't even know what it means. I mean, he's making me feel like either he had a heart attack or his breath was taken from him, but he's showing him knees buckling and going down.
Is there a doctor in the house?
People jumping up, like everybody rising. He goes down and they go up.
Right.
Also, there would have been like a banner announcement or a banner hanging of what this conference was or whatever it was. He's kind of laughing and he's like, way to go out, you know, like way to leave this world, you know, right there and then.
Dubois stated that Keen is now as interested in communicating with the living as he once was in talking to the dead.
To try and understand better, like to understand the other side, what you guys are seeing that's right and what's not right, and almost to like try and help make that clear.
So now that you've seen that video and you've got some idea, I can't find a more intimate description of someone dying. He's photographed, he's there, he dies on camera in a specific venue which is readily described and perceived by Alison Dubois, and she talks about it's as if the air has just left his lungs, breathing stops. Now you learn that during Kundalini rise when your breath is cut off to some degree and suddenly you become very sort of cognizant of the fact that every breath you take is permitted. It is only permitted. And I think we don't take life seriously enough, certainly not the miracle of our existence. Many of us waste our existence. Another thing is that a lot of people have predicted their own deaths to the very day, even the hour of the day. That was first noticed in the 19th century, that people will say, what, you expect me to die on the 24th of May at 11 o'clock at night, for Christ's sake? And they do. That's happened many, many times. And so there's some kind of intelligent intervention in the death of people So they can determine their own death. They have a say in it. It's not a random natural occurrence. It isn't like that at all. And your life story ends at a certain time. It can be due to your personal selection of a date, or the decision can be made for you by Source, the divine spark within each and every one of you. And Source has asked me to make this widely known, which is not going to happen on YouTube, I don't think, because this video is going to have a half-life of about 2 hours, I think. And maybe I should get a Patreon account and take money, take bets. What's the half-life of a Steve True Blue video? But the people who are abusing power and have forgotten how valuable their very existence is could pay the price of being taken off the board in the physical and wind up in a different dimension, unable to talk to anybody. That's what happens. Death is one of the great illusions, but you still basically it's game over for you. And too many people are doing this abuse of power thing to the detriment of the entire human race. So in closing, I'll just say to the SPLC censors that throw themselves into the task of censorship with such gusto, likely because of their pedigrees, rather like the pedigreed creatures we admire so much. Source is deeply upset with you because the human race doesn't need to be rounded up. And I've just shown you how we should all be grateful for every single breath we take, and that you only breathe with permission. And I've just shown you a video of what it's actually like to die, with the next breath simply not allowed. So I would urge you to think carefully about what you do in the future. And the other thing being mentioned is it may be a very broad thing, because the word Brexit has been mentioned. That's been mentioned to me a number of times, that there could be some untimely passings there too, to speed the process along. Okay, so thanks for watching SPLC. I love you, pedigreed people. Love you so much.